everyone. For those of you who are still kind of catching up, my name is Abby, and I just kind of wanted to get on here and explain to you about like my SCAD experience. I ended up being a high school dropout, if that's what you really want to call my situation. When I was 16 years old, I decided to leave high school and study abroad in France for about 6 months. It was the best experience of my entire life. I wouldn't have made it any other way. It was honestly, as a 16-year-old, it was the best case scenario for me personally. When I came back, I decided to go to a community college, which then had allowed me to get my high school degree online. As I was getting my high school degree, I was also doing my college classes all together, so then that way I actually finished earlier. After that, in the middle of, trying to do all of those at the same time, I had the ability for me to apply to SCAD without having to have all my SAT scores and whatnot, because I was already at a community college. That was perfect. In my time at France, I had decided to, carry my camera with me as much as I possibly could, and from that point on, I really decided that that was the career choice that I wanted to make, which was the best career choice I could have ever possibly imagined. After visiting SCAD, it was like I walked in there and it was the perfect place for me to attend my undergrad for everything like that. And it was really even like a question on if I would make it in, but if you know SCAD, they actually bring a lot more people in to test to see who will actually commit themselves through their 4-year process. I was one of the lucky people because I was a transfer student, so I got to go in enjoying 2 years of just full art without having, my math, my public speaking, my sciences, all that. That was all out of the way. So I went to SCAD just having my art classes to do, which was just awesome. And I had planned on going like about 3 years in advance before I actually got there. And, through my process of being a photographer, I learned so much about like myself and really what I wanted to do. And I think, as a photographer, you're always kind of exploring new ways to improve yourself and your photos and how you really try to find your bodies of work. And that was something that was difficult for me at first, but it had really, going through those classes, it had really helped me try to figure out what exactly I wanted to do. It also surprised me a little bit. I had never worked on a body of work prior to going to SCAD, so that was like a whole new thing for me. So if you're looking into going into photography, practice that because it is really big there. But I thought maybe I wanted to be in commercial, or I wanted to be in fine art, marketing. I don't know, anything you could possibly name it. I once thought I wanted to be like a marine photographer. Gotta admit, I'm a little scared of the water, so that wouldn't have worked out very well for me. But I actually turned out a little bit more fine art than I had really anticipated in that aspect. I love working with cyanotypes, platinum prints, wooden prints, anything that you could possibly imagine. Like that kind of side of photography doesn't really exist to like the public unless you are in the fine art industry. Finding that was exactly what I wanted to do, but I also really enjoy being a part of everyone's special day, and so that's why I ended up in this industry, because I think it's a really beautiful thing to be a part of someone's special day and photograph it for them to be able to keep forever. Through my experience at SCAD, I met some phenomenal professors, some that like I hope to keep in touch with for the rest of my life. They have really taught me to really kind of stick with my guns and understand the industry, because not only am I, photographing everything, I have to know how to shoot on a camera. I have to know how to talk to people, and I think that by then they have forced us to learn how to do all those things. And so, I know how to pick up a camera, whether that's Nikon, Canon, whatever. I can do it. I can pick up a film camera and I can really go in and shoot on that. It just, not everyone can pick up and understand every single camera. I also made some phenomenal friends that I miss dearly, and I wish that I could hang out with them forever, but of course life goes on, and sometimes you have to not separate, but you have to follow with how life is going to take you. And right now I'm obviously in Virginia, so I hope that I find opportunities that will still allow us to network together. The resources that I had there were just amazing. They would bring in big companies like Nat Geo, Time, anything like that. You can talk to them and try to network yourself. Let's see, I had some great equipment to work with. That was like the greatest thing that I could have ever possibly asked for, where you can scan negatives, you can work with like great cameras. Sorry, gotta get a drink. The amount of like cameras that they gave us to work with was just awesome. The studio equipment was just crazy. And I personally found myself working with a lot of negatives, so I was always in the scanning lab and the printing lab. But you don't normally get that kind of resources and equipment within a education. So I had a great experience with that. As a transfer student, it was really sad for me to see so many people bash SCAD, because I personally had a great experience. I had waited a long time to be able to go to that school, so I really, really enjoyed it. I found myself a lot as a photographer, and what I enjoy to photograph. I truly enjoy photographing like the ideal situation of like how a kid perceives life. I think that they are just really kind of sheltered of what the real world is. So I love photographing like their lifestyle and how they interact with each other. I think that it's really important to watch them, and that a lot of adults need to follow into their footsteps more than kids needing to follow adult footsteps. And I think people need to look at how lucky they are to be able to go to that school instead of like hating on it so much. There's always going to be positive and negatives within every school that you go to. I personally had a great experience with SCAD, and I would highly suggest it to every person that comes along. So I just wanted to be able to kind of give you guys an insight of what I enjoy as a photographer, and how my school, my education was, and why I am, so knowledgeable within my industry. And that's because I went to school, and I understand, every kind of camera that comes in front of me. So, I think that it's important, for people that are trying to find someone that they're bringing in on their big day. You want to hope that they're going to be able to get it. And so make sure that you find someone who knows a camera. And I think that that's truly important. So yeah, this is who I am. SCAD's a big part of my life, and I hope that you guys can kind of take that into consideration for you guys. So, feel free to send me any messages that you need, and yeah, I will talk to you guys soon.